Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Gentech PC product showcase. In today's full-length featured review, we'll be going over the brand new Gigabyte Aero 15X. We'll go ahead and start things off with a full unboxing video, that way you can see what is included in the box when you order your own. So first up we have some promo material offering to give you a nice prize if you do a review for Gigabyte. No, we don't get the prize for doing this video today. Next up we have a long box on the right hand side. Here we're going to have our power adapter cable. We won't make you wait on the big reveal for the laptop, it's right here front and center. We do have a sleeve over the top so it doesn't get scratched up. First glance, you can see it's all black, a little bit of carbon fiber type design. We'll dig a little bit deeper into the box, and underneath of the laptop, in the back, we have our power adapter. So far everything's pretty standard. You can see the power adapter is a little bit of a lower profile and elongated, so it will help it fit into a bag. And here is a close-up of the specs. And it looks like the last thing for us to pull out of the box is going to be your standard bag of warranty information, user's manuals, and driver discs. Now moving on to some of our standard testing, let's get the laptop on a scale. Laptop alone is at 4 pounds and 11 ounces for its weight. When you throw in the power adapter as well, you're at 6 pounds and 3 ounces. For measurements, we do have some coins up here for a scale and a regular standard 12-inch ruler. So you can see well under an inch on the back side, also under an inch on the front side. Laptop is lifted up off the table with its feet so you can get air underneath of it for ventilation. And so of course that adds a little bit of height to the measurements. So let's face it, there's no shortage of thin and light gaming laptops, somewhat close to this one in the same category as performance and price. So what is Gigabyte going to do different to make this one the one to buy? Well, one of the big things is going to be the screen. As you can see, it has a very thin bezel, so it gives it a nice appearance. Also, this is one of the very few, if not the only laptops we've ever seen that actually has a Pantone certified screen, so it's been actually calibrated for color inside the factory shop. Other features to take a look at, we do have our standard RGB backlit chiclet style keyboard, the single oversized touchpad in the middle with the left and right click buttons integrated into it. You'll notice that there was a sacrifice made with that bezel being so thin. There is no HD webcam at the top where you would normally see it. Instead, it's actually at the bottom. Now let's go ahead and close the lid and take the outside perimeter tour and look at our connectivity interfaces. On the right hand side, the SD card reader, our Thunderbolt 3 port, 2 USB 3.0 ports, the DC power and charging port, and our Kensington lock port. On the back hand side, absolutely nothing for us to plug into for connectivity. To the left, we have the RJ45 connectivity for the local networking, another USB 3 port, the HDMI, mini display port, and your headphone out. Alright, with most of the outside of the laptop covered for now, let's jump into some of our software and our keyboard. So here we have the Gigabyte software open that lets us do all of the lighting effects for the keyboard. There are tons of pre-programmed presets in here for animations and motions, And of course, you can always dive in there and set each and every key to any color you want. So you do have full custom capabilities here for setting this keyboard up the way you would like it. So here we'll run through just a couple of the demo modes and show you some of the features, and then we'll move on to our next segment. Alright, so the next piece of software up to take a look at that you might find useful is going to be the Smart Manager. So this is an all-in-one place to really get a good bird's eye view of what's going on with your computer as far as performance and settings. So some of these are just shortcuts to your standard Windows settings such as power and sleep. Others are definitely custom to the laptop that let you control things such as your fan speeds. All in all, it's pretty easy to get around to everything, and it just works, so it's not a bad piece of software and definitely worth checking out. Now moving on to our device manager to take a look at our hardware, we have the NVIDIA GTX 1070 Max Q Edition. That's the low power, low heat version of the 1070, so it will give you better battery life and lower temperatures. For the CPU, we have the Intel Core i7 7700HQ. And we're loaded up right now with 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. The monitor panel right here on screen for you to take a look at. The resolution is a standard 1920 by 1080p. Now we're going to start moving into our benchmark section. This is the very first part of that. And that's going to be our noise levels and the noise testing. So this is a controlled test right now with the computer at a very nice idle state, so nothing running on it to make it really spool up the fans or run hot. We'll take these controls and we'll retest them in a moment when we really fire up the computer for some of our performance benchmarks. Be sure to check out some of our other reviews as well where we've done the same test. That'll really help put these numbers into perspective for our testing. Alright, so the next baseline that we have to take a look at is going to be our current ambient temperatures on the CPU and the GPU. These are very important because we want to know what things are looking like now before we actually start putting it under stress with our benchmarks. As for those performance benchmarks, we now have those underway. So we're running the 3D Mark benchmark right now. And as that's going, we'll go ahead and retake those noise levels. So what we're testing for right now is not the noise from the speakers or anything like that. It's more of the fan noise that you're looking for. So unlike temperature tests where you want to see a lot of heat coming out of the system, you don't really want to see a lot of noise coming out of the system. So these numbers are important, especially if you plan on using your laptop in a very quiet environment and the noise would be disruptive. So here is our thermal camera, and now we can get those temperature readings. Really cool technology, lets you see exactly what's going on with the laptop. What we're looking for here is going to be that we don't want to see too much heat where the hands would be, because that would lead to discomfort and probably some sweaty palms. And you want to see these hot spots like we do in the back. That's where the cooling fans are taking all of the system heat and trying to blow it out of the back. The hotter that is, the better, because that means the system's getting rid of that heat. That may sound a little bit strange until you think about it, but when you have the same video card and the same CPU in a lot of different laptops, they're all going to make the same amount of heat internally. So the difference between a good laptop and a bad one with cooling is the ability to get rid of that heat. and thus it must go somewhere, and where we want to see it is out the back. So Firestrike has finished and it's checking in now with its score of 12,540. Let's go take a look at those temperatures. So on our CPU, the highest core got to 86 degrees Celsius. Down below, we see our GPU was at 69 degrees Celsius. So we're not done with the benchmarks yet. Next up is going to be the Cinebench R15. So we have a preset loop of frames here that are going to run through for us. At the end, we'll get a nice little score that we can compare against other laptops. So 88.48 frames per second under OpenGPL was the score. Down below, it does give us our rank for the CPU, although these are charts that don't include every CPU out there, so therefore mostly we want to pay attention to our Cinebench score and our frames per second. Next up is going to be a volume sound test. We have a few more benchmarks for you in the benchmarking section before we move on. So here we go with Blender, and we're going to render planet Earth. So we're going ahead and getting things kicked off. We'll go over to the right hand side, take a look at our settings for you. It also has our current frame rate to kind of give you a hint of the performance. And just jot these down. We'll of course keep these the same for all the other laptops that we benchmark as well, so we have a good comparison. So this takes quite a while to fully render out, so of course we fast forwarded to save you some sanity, and we're just going to check in with our scores, which is going to be our time. So we have here that it took 24 minutes and 32 seconds to finish that out. So now we're moving into the final part of our review, which is going to be the disassembly. So here we have all of the screws we had to take out of the laptop. Do notice that some of them are longer than the others, so if you're taking your laptop apart, make sure you keep track of that. Now once those are all out, the entire bottom part will come off and reveal what is inside. A mostly standard setup here. We have the internal battery at the bottom here, with some speakers to the left and right hand side, a couple of our wireless modules located on the left here. We have an M2 slot on the right hand side. There are two of these inside of the laptop, one up above it as well. We see we have our system RAM slots in the center. And with 16 gigabytes of RAM loaded, we still have open slots to expand that further. Our cooling setup is a 2-fan setup with the heat pipes connected, covering both the CPU and the GPU. So, in the interest of mad science, we of course will take that off as well. And here's what that cooling pipe assembly looks like, and the components underneath. So when it comes to laptops, it's just like a pair of pants. It'll never be a one-size-fits-all. So it's up to you if this laptop is what you're looking for. If it is, we urge you to go ahead and take a look in our video description where we have the link to the product page, where we have all of the full product details and specs, as well as the current pricing and availability. We hope that regardless of whether or not this is the next laptop you want to own or not, that everybody was able to enjoy our video and found it entertaining and educational. Hopefully answered any questions you had, but if not, feel free to contact us down below in the comments section and we'll answer those questions for you and everybody else. If you need some one-on-one help, then you can reach out to us by phone or email. Down below in the video description we have those. Contact us and we'll be sure to help you out with your one-on-one questions as well. So we just want to remind everybody once again that this was Gentech PC, and we'll see you next time.